before we can do everything. All right, so please fasten your seatbelts in the meantime. Enjoy the
Buckle up.
show. I would also be very thankful if you would be able to turn on your camera so that we can have a very lively discussion today, because we have prepared quite a lot of interesting material for you. Yeah, and I also would like to warmly welcome every one of you to very first webinar in 2023. I, first of all, on behalf of our entire team, but from me personally, I would like to congratulate you and your families and wish you a very, very nice and a happy new year 2023. Let it be the year where you will be able to fulfill all your aspirations and make a few more steps, which makes you toward closer to your dreams. Let it be a year of health, happiness, and prosperity for you and your beloved ones, first of all. Okay, would you like, guys, to make one step towards your career aspirations and maybe fulfill your career dreams this year as well? Please write down into the chats yes, or raise your hands if you are joining the Zoom call. If you are just watching this video on YouTube, please don't forget to put a like or leave a comment to it. If you like this video, if you like our content, feel free to share it with your friends who are also interested in joining consulting companies, and also hit the subscription button and stay tuned. Because this year will bring you quite a lot of interesting material. So let's gonna start. Anton, I pass the word to you, my dear colleague.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you. Again, hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we're gonna talk about how to get a job in the most prestigious consulting company, the MBB Insights. And today with you, me, Anton, client manager at Consulting Masters, and Andrea Homolenko, our coach, our CEO and founder of Consulting Masters. Andre?
Okay. I just got a message from Meeting who requested me to give him a YouTube link, and I shared this also in our chat. So guys, if you have any questions, if you would like to step up, and I always try to make our webinars very interactive in order to bring you the most of value. So feel free to use the chat function here or to leave your comments under this YouTube video. We will try to get back to you if you're watching this as a recording and help you and answer all your questions. So let me maybe briefly introduce myself so that you get to know so that we can get to know a little bit better. And I would also very much appreciate if you could write a little bit more about yourself also in the chat, like your name, where you're from, your age, what are you currently doing, and what are you looking for in consulting, so that we can make it a more lively discussion. So briefly about me, I'm Andre. I'm the CEO and the founder of Consulting Masters, and I'm extremely happy that over the past 3.5 years, we helped together with the team just about 600 people to get offers at the most prestigious consulting companies worldwide, which includes McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Vollenberg, Strategy and Kearney, Oliver Wyman, and Big Four, Accenture, and even boutique firms. And we've done this all over the globe. not only in Europe, in Switzerland, where I'm currently based, or in Germany, or in UK, or France, or whatsoever, but also in the United States, or Canada, in North America, in South and Central America, like Panama office, lastly, or quite a lot in the Middle East, which is a hugely booming market, but also in the Southeastern Asia. So I'm really very happy that we are able to operate globally, worldwide, and I'm extremely happy to serve you and to help you, because so many of you are here because you also have these career aspirations. And in this webinar, I would like to talk to you about current consulting trends. What can you expect actually in 2023, and give you a little bit an insights, information, what's going on in the consulting world, and especially in the economy. Can you maybe write down into the chat also briefly about yourself? So I see here Anton from Lisbon. I'm Andre from Bern. Yeah. I also see Alexei from Moscow, who moved to Budva in Montenegro, system analyst at a bank. And we also spoke with a few guys just before the webinar. So yeah, feel free to mention briefly, give a quick intro. Max from London, Aaron from Nigeria, Adam from Toronto, Canada. Max is working at IBM. Anu is in Vancouver, Canada. Wow, we are covering so many time zones. It's amazing. Akiat in Finland. I love this country since my trip to Mr. Santa Claus. Espu, currently finishing my master's in ICT innovation at Aalto University. Summer is in Riyadh. Sabah al Noor, Summer Kibhalik. Mai An is from Vietnam. Kennard from Lionel Keller from Paris. Patrick Schusseler from Stuttgart, studying economics in Vienna and interested in data science branches. Simona from Vienna. Arma from Berlin, studying innovation management. Nipin is a physicist with 7 years of academic experience after PhD, currently looking for a job in consulting. Yeah! Let's go. Marco Luna Chevron, London, just finished the MBA, former logistics manager, oil and gas. Marco, my congratulations. Yeah, well done. The MBA, let's help you to get a great career opportunity. So, guys, honestly speaking, what do you think is happening in economy at the moment? What do you think, what are the challenges that the clients of consulting firms, big corporations, banks, governments are currently facing throughout 2022 and maybe in 2023? What do you think? What are the hottest topics in consulting for the moment? Please write down into the chat. I would be very much interested to hear your opinion. Inflation, climate, finance, AI, skill shortage, energy crisis, downsizing. Okay. Anything else? Recession. Yeah, many people talk about the recession, but actually, what happened in 2023? Sorry, in 2022, it was the year that changed a lot in the world. The war between Russia and Ukraine has begun, which has actually caused an energy crisis. but it has also caused the recession. It has also driven the inflation in many countries because the prices not only on energy but all the production has been affected. Europe or European Union needed to host about 9.3 million of Ukrainian refugees, as well as other countries. So basically, every fourth Ukrainian is now being pushed to leave the country, and on the other side, many governments are now feeling the threat in terms of military. So they need to reorganize their military and defense systems. Especially in Germany, there is a huge debate about it, but even more in Eastern European countries or in all neighboring countries. And it's not only in Poland or Baltic states, but it's also in countries like Kazakhstan, or what's happening between China and Taiwan, or what's happening in general between the US, the Russia, and China. Why I'm telling you this is because I want you to get a better understanding of the broader perspective, what's going on. Remember, consultants are highly paid advisors. So basically, you in 2022, you have seen a very high number of challenges which stressed the whole economy. And it means that governments needs to rethink their previous policy. And it's not only about the defense, it's not only about the economy, it's also about, as I read here, digital transformation, supply chain distribution, inflation, energy transition, ESG policies, which means sustainability. Even now, if we have all this recession, if we have all these wars, no one has stopped the climate crisis, because the previous summer has been one of the most hottest in Europe over the past decades, with the temperatures, 40 degrees in London. Do you guys experience this every year? Maybe you need to get used to this weather. This is not only any longer in Dubai like this, but it also happens in London. And with this whole turmoil, governments now increase their spending. They need to rethink a lot of conceptions, like ESG, defense, but also primarily cope with the inflation. That's why the banks are rising, the central banks are raising their interest rates. But the good thing for you as future consultants, there are quite few people on this planet who actually knows what's going to happen. And so many countries, so many governments, so many banks, so many corporations now need your advice, or basically they need the advice from the consultants. This is probably one of the best news for you, because even despite how crazy the whole situation might be looking from the outside perspective, if you think it from the business perspective, it's actually good for consulting companies, because there is a terrible mess. Imagine you are a big corporation in Germany, for example, BASF, which is one of the biggest chemical producers, and you have been dependent on Russian gas. About 80% of your gas for chemicals has been supplied from Russia. But after Russia has started the aggression on Ukraine in February last year, the Russian gas has been banned now. And you need to redirect your whole supply chain, because gas now is becoming more and more expensive in Europe. That's why BASF needs to develop a strategy how to stay competitive even in the longer term. So all these geopolitical shifts, they have changed the paradigm. And that's why BASF has hired McKinsey consultants, for example, to help them solve so many challenges. Or another example from Germany. German Ministry of Defense has retired basically a few days back because she was not able to cope with the entire challenges. And again, the Defense Ministry of Germany has been hiring consultants from Roland Berger, from McKinsey, from many other consulting firms in order to help them to cope with all these challenges. Do you see my point? Do you get an understanding why this is so important? I mean, we all live on the same planet and we all need to act towards the ESG topics because, yeah, climate change will continue to surprise us even more in the coming years. And it has become visible and obvious to so many people, especially over the past 2 years with all these natural catastrophes and disasters. And in parallel, there are still so many opportunities and so many new projects which are rising every year. So, for example, if we take just another example, another region, Middle East has been contrast to the rest of the world. What happened in the Middle East last year? Do we have many football fans here in the audience? I'm talking about FIFA World Cup, which just took place in November and December last year. No, not surprised, but basically, I would say, yeah, FIFA Championship has become possible partly also due to the work of consultants. Just imagine how many consulting projects have been there on the market in Qatar, how many projects have been sold over the past 10 years to help the country to design the whole infrastructure, the whole event. It has been massive spending on consulting over the past decade in Qatar to help the country become what it is at the moment. At least everyone has heard about this country these days, I would say. The same is happening, but even to a greater extent in Saudi Arabia, where they want to build or rebuild the whole country from scratch. And all of this is driving consulting business very, very much. If in Europe or in the US, many companies, many consulting companies are doing basically restructuring work. They help their clients to cope with the crisis. Then in other parts of the world, like Southeastern Asia or Middle East, consulting companies are leading the innovation. They are leading basically the further development of countries or even entire regions. And we also used to have, before 2022, we had 2 years of pandemic. The hiring between 2020 and the last quarter of 2021 has been very short. So there was like an almost hiring freeze in consulting. So what I'm currently hearing from many of my friends who work as partners or principals or senior project managers in consulting firms all across the world is that so many of them are very short on good consultants, because what they're currently looking, they look for experienced hires with some experience, like MBA candidates are great candidates, but they are also looking for junior hires because they receive these days so many projects, so many new projects, but they have an issue that they can't staff them all because they don't have enough staff. They don't have enough consultants. Therefore, I just want to tell you that the prospects for going into consulting in 2023 are going to be very good, at least in the first half of this year. So if you are planning to apply very soon, I would even further encourage you to do so in the next 2 to 3 months, because this is like the maximum chances for you to get your job in consulting if you are really serious about it. By the way, if you have any specific questions, feel free to use our chat function, and Anton can help me to moderate all these questions. So, and that's from the overall perspective. Guys, by the way, can you maybe also write in the comments whether this information is useful for you, whether you get any insights, or just put a like to this video, or leave a comment, or spread it also through your friends if you are watching this as a recording on our YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and our social media. By the way, Anton is also going to share all the links with you in the chat. Okay, so let's move on. What I also wanted to discuss with you is, on the one hand, there is a huge demand for good consultants from consulting companies at these days. But on the other hand, you also need to know that that consulting firms are really picky. So they are picky in terms that they are highly selective towards the candidates. Like every year, just to give you an example of McKinsey, every year about 200,000 applicants approach McKinsey company applying for different positions with McKinsey. But at the end of the day, only about 2,200 people will actually got hired. So it's about 1.1%, and the other roughly 99% will get outplaced. So I want to give you some very, very practical tips. If I were in your position, if I were you, Pedro, or if I were you, Simona, or if I were you, Aditya, how will I act under these circumstances? My plan would be, first of all, I would create an Excel sheet for me. I would develop a strategy, a plan. How do I want to approach each company? First of all, I will define what are the companies that I'm looking for. Let it be MBB, Taiwan, Big Four, I don't know, boutique consulting firms, the companies in your target list, which you really want to get in. And then I would also define the geography, the position, like the office, the role, etc., for all of this. And I would start checking, like, where do I have connections? Or where can I get connections? One of the sources is, of course, LinkedIn. And before sending any applications, I would actually already work in parallel on two things. First of all, I would polish very much the CV. I would just make it like it should be looking really brilliant. from the first sight, so that I imagine myself as a recruiter. I watch on this CV and yeah, it sounds really interesting. I want to talk with that guy. That kind of impression your CV should make on everyone. So that's number one. Number two, in parallel to working on the application documents, I would work on the networking strategy. So I would try to connect to people whom I know. This could be like family, friends, and fools. Or, for example, for instance, we have here a few people who told me that, for example, Pedro, if I'm not mistaken, you are studying at or you completed MBA in Spain, one of the business schools. I would assume that many people from your business school are already working in consulting firms. So I would basically try to find the alumni directory who from my university or from places that I used to work, or who from my friends or I don't know, neighbors or family or whatsoever, who are currently working in those companies, and how can I establish and build a connection to them. And then I would be extremely polite. I would start approaching those people, sending them very gentle messages that I know how to write, basically. Yeah, asking them maybe to have just a first conversation, just a small coffee chat, showing my genuine interest in themselves, their way, their career, reading all their publications and stuff that could be easily found in internet, on LinkedIn, and whatsoever, just to please them, have those conversations, and on the one hand, understand even more about consulting, gather the information about consulting specifically and the company that they are working for, but also then trying to place where it is possible my request to help me on my way in consulting through recommendations, so that they can maybe refer me to their companies. And of course, I show them my resume and they look at it. Yeah, brilliant guy and easygoing, very pleasant. Let's maybe help him. So that's how it actually works. And that's what we do also for our clients quite a lot. We help them to get through the door. Because with all these strategies, I want to offset the standard recruiting, which is extremely highly competitive. I want to get the referral. I want to get the recommendation, because if Aditya, for example, is already working in Bain, and if I ask Aditya as my good friend, or if at least someone whom I know, and impress him and make a good impression on him, if I ask him for a favor and he agrees to recommend me to one of his colleagues in Bain, it will give me a huge advantage, actually, because the recruiter already knows me a little bit. At least someone has put a good word for me. So, second step, make sure that you're working intensively on your networking strategy in order to help you to overcome the challenges of your application. And then the third one, important step, is of course in parallel preparation to the interview. And you should be serious about it. If I were you, I would basically prepare equally well to both personal fit part as well as the case part of the interviews. How I would prepare to the personal fit part, I would try to find out what are the typical questions and how should the structure of answers look like for them. By the way, on our YouTube channel, and I would strongly recommend you that you subscribe to Consulting Masters YouTube channel. Then Anton will give you the link. You can actually find another videos with another webinars where we touch base specifically on the topic, for example, of personal fit preparation. You can watch in these videos, you will get a better understanding. What do you need to know about, like, what kind of questions are being asked? What is the structure of your answers that you should be looking at, etc., etc., how to answer them. So you formulate this as an Excel sheet for you, and you start practicing, and improving yourself. It's very important. Don't read too much books. Like, books are not really helpful. I mean, they might be just helpful at the very beginning to give you just a rough idea of what you might be expecting. It's not, of course, you need to know the theory, but way more important is to be flexible in terms of applying your practical skills, and you need to develop those practical skills. So with regard to these personal fit part, the best advice which I could give to you, just go to YouTube, find our channel, search for Consulting Masters, and subscribe and start watching previous webinars. It will give you idea not only about personal feedback, but of course, next one is the case interview. Again, you need to understand the whole process of the interview, the whole process of solving also the case. Once you understood the case, and once you have learned some of the basics concepts, because you obviously would need some fundamentals and understanding of the business or economic concepts, you would need to start practicing. And it's also very important that you practice not only with your peers, who might be brilliant guys, but the problem is they have never worked in consulting. So, and they have never interviewed anyone in their life for a consulting job. That's why you would really need the expert help in order to give you precise and actionable recommendations and feedback and advice on the next steps where you need. It's always better to have like a coach or a trainer who puts you from the point A to point B, because look at it from the recruiter's perspective. I, as a former recruiter, I used to interview, for example, 10 candidates in one day. And out of these 10 candidates, I needed to decide who is the one, maximum two, who will pass to the next round. So therefore, only those two guys, only those one or two guys will actually get the chance to move on. So you really need to be at your best during the interview day. And remember also one thing, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, because it's not enough to perform very well in just one interview. You know, there are different types of people, there are different types of consultants. One is extremely friendly, another one is just fact-based. The third one is extremely red person. I mean, yeah, just bring me the results, extremely pushy. Yeah, and you need to be adequately prepared to handle different types of people, different types of consultants. You basically need to pass all 6 or 8 interviews in order to get the job offer, in order to become that 1.1% who gets into McKinsey. I think it is just a brief introduction for now. I'm more than happy to go into detail with more content and answering your questions. So feel free to raise your hands or put your questions into the chat, either on YouTube, if you're watching this as a recording, and leave a comment, or here in the Zoom. So Anton.
Yeah, we actually have some questions.
To you.
Yeah, thanks. We actually have some questions from the chat. Anu, she's asking about what is the significance
Can you
behind
maybe pass the
applying
word to Anu? It would be nice
in
if
a couple of months.
she or he can answer the questions themselves and just briefly introduce.
Oh, we have Anu here.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Anu.
Hi.
Yeah, where are you from and what's your question?
Yeah, currently I live in Vancouver, Canada, originally from Mongolia. And thank you for today's webinar, by the way, it's very helpful. And I just wanted to ask about what's the significance of applying in the next couple months, because you mentioned that. What's the reasoning? Is this like every year, like consulting companies hire the most people during this time?
I can tell you basically out of experience. For example, that happened in 2008 or in 2020. I don't know. Maybe it's just my feeling, but if a big depression starts, if the recession goes in the depression, conditions might be changing. That's why I cannot predict the future. I don't have the certainty that the hiring in after the summer, so like in the second half of the year, will be as good as it is right now, because I know from my friends and former colleagues who are working as partners or head of HR that they have hired 2022, like last year, they have hired so many people for the first time in history, probably. Like it was one of the most massive hiring seasons ever. And of course, this party cannot go over for forever. It was something extraordinary. So they still keep on hiring right now, or after the New Year break and after Christmas. But I'm not sure whether they will continue to do so in the second half of the year. That's the uncertainty that we need to cope with. That's why I told you that the best chances are actually right now. And if you have this opportunity, it's always better to apply right now and don't wait for later. Because what happened, what was my personal story is I got my first full-time job offer almost a year ahead the starting date. Like I got my job offer in, I applied, I think it was April 2012. I started working in March 2013. So like the company has been waiting for me like for almost a year. And you know, if you are a student or if you are a young professional, it's always good to have something already in your pocket, in your hands, which gives you a certainty that you will be having a very nice future. That's my best recommendation to you and anyone watching. I hope that makes sense.
Great, yeah, thank you.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Anton, anything else?
Yeah, we have Arnav asked the question. Arnav, can you please raise your hand, turn on the camera, and address the question?
Hi, Andre. So actually, I'm studying.
What's your background, Arnav? can you maybe just briefly introduce yourself and then ask your question?
Sure. I'm an architect and now I'm studying innovation design management and I'm graduating this summer. So I'll be looking into innovation consulting in particular. And I just want to understand what opportunities there in innovation consulting in that particular segment. And I understand that it's not a very well-defined segment as of now in consulting, but just want to understand what future looks like in this particular field.
Can I actually ask you, what do you mean by innovation consulting?
I mean, it's primarily just looking into, I mean, it can vary from different structures, but primarily looking into business model innovation or reorganizing companies in a different way. Primarily these two is what it focuses on, but can vary from product to product reconfiguring to business model reconfiguring to organization restructuring. These three aspects are the ones that we have primarily dealt with, but it can be in other sectors as well.
Okay. I mean, any big company, any big consulting company has actually to do something to do. Business innovation is just a function. Like every consulting company is organized in a matrix structure, where on the one hand you have the industries, and on the other hand you have the functions. So you have the industries like oil and gas, finance, governments, etc., etc. on the one hand, and on the other hand you have different functions like strategy, business innovation, restructuring, digitization, whatsoever. So I mean, from that perspective, if you're applying to one of the big firms, they have pretty good perspectives for the coming years, or at least for the next 6 months. And then we shall see. The function of the business innovation, I would say that so many companies nowadays need to adapt, especially their logistics and partly also business models. So therefore, I see a huge demand theoretically for these kind of services that are needed to be provided to the clients. Does that help you?
Yes, it does. I think, I mean, it does answer my question to a certain extent, because what my primary doubt was the fact that there are particular firms that are looking only into innovation consulting in particular, but they aren't at the scale of say McKinsey or the other big four companies. So, but I understand that it's all the companies are doing that in certain scales. I mean, business innovation is also business model innovation is also happening in McKinsey and other firms. So yeah, I think that does answer my question to a certain extent. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can't tell you for all the consulting firms, because I think that there are more than 100,000 of them, probably worldwide. But we are mostly focusing on helping people to get into the big firms like MBB, Tier 1, Big Four, or big renowned boutique consulting firms. I mean, in any case, if you have specific further questions, feel free to book a call with Anton. You can share now the link in the chat and discuss your question with him. Oh, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I just forgot to mention this. I mean, if after this webinar you have any further questions to ask, feel free to visit our website, consultant-masters.com. Or just directly book a call through the Calendly of our gentleman Anton, who is more than happy to talk to you. By the way, Anton, I think your link is not clickable. The one that you have shared in the chat.
We can fix it.
We improve, and then share all the information. Okay, Do we have anything else? Any further questions?
Yeah, we have some questions from Shreya Patel. Maybe you can raise your
Yeah,
hand.
so my question was more about like, can you explain a bit about the geographical location selections for while applying to MBBs? Because that's a very major task, what locations to choose.
Where are you based, Freya?
I am in Madrid right now, so I'm studying. I did an MBA, I'm studying another master's, but I'm from India.
What are the languages that you speak and what's your passport?
English, like fluent, and I'm learning Spanish, but I'm not like on the working proficiency level yet.
Okay. There are highest chances for you to get into consulting in your case. Have you completed one of the Indian institutes? No?
No.
Then I would recommend you to go to the Middle East in your case, because you don't have European passport, you are Indian, you speak only English. You can try either Southeastern Asia, but not India. By Southeastern Asia, I mean Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Vietnam, who are the offices that are hiring. Getting into Singapore would be more difficult for you than getting into Vietnam office or Thailand office, for example. And one of the easiest ways for you to get into MBBs would be, for example, Saudi Arabia or Qatar offices, since Dubai is becoming a little bit more restrictive, so to say. That's in your particular situation, briefly in the nutshell, which offices to choose. I'm happy to discuss more options once. I mean, feel free to book a call with Anton to see where do you stand and what can we do together with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, cool. Yeah, Anton? Or anyone else, feel free to raise your hands and ask your questions.
Yeah, we have one. Max Forbes.
Yeah, hi. I had a question. So basically, what are the kind of pros and cons of, let's say, working at a big or like the MBBs versus a smaller boutique firm?
Pros and cons. Pros. You have, I would say, brand name, first of all, on your CV. The bigger the firm is, the more reputabilities, and your exit options will be improving. So, for example, I mean, if you are just comparing it with one of the boutique firms, not everyone knows the boutique firms, but probably everyone or many people have heard about McKinsey, BCG, Roman Berger, Strategy, and or whatsoever. Yeah. Pro is that the company is also better organized. I mean, it's pretty strict and rigid, but it's very much clear. Like in certain functions, in certain geographies, in certain industries, it also gives you probably more opportunities for international projects, especially if you're like, when I used to work at Roland Berger, I was based in Munich office, but out of 3 years, I spent only 2 months in Germany. The rest of the time was all over the place, like from Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, Middle East, whatsoever, like really great opportunities. Before that, I used to work in a boutique consulting firm, and yeah, the opportunities were very much limited compared to this. Yeah, but on the other, oh, and by the way, depending on what kind of boutique firms we're talking about, but generally, bigger firms have higher salaries than boutique companies. But what clearly says for the boutique firms, you have better climate, like better relationships with your colleagues. And remember one thing, you always work with people. So consulting is clearly people's business. So if you don't like the people, you don't like your job. So therefore, you need to like the people, generally speaking, and you need to like the people, your colleagues, with whom are you doing this? Otherwise, you won't enjoy it and won't become successful in that. So boutiques definitely have better climate. They very often have better work-life balance. So you work less and you have more spare time. Just to give you a feeling, like in a boutique, you can work 10 to 12 hours. In top consulting firms, you can work 12 to 14 hours. So these 2 hours will make a difference. Yeah, because it's less sleep, less physical activity, more stress, etc. for you. And yeah, in boutique firms, you can progress in your career faster. So, for example, you can become a partner in a boutique firm in 7 years, while in a big established firm, it might take you like 10 years. That's pretty much it in the nutshell. Of course, it's always individual. Like, it's better to compare one boutique firm with one specific established firm. Then I could have given you better insights, but at least in general, I hope it helps you to have a better understanding.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. Does anyone else raise their hands or have questions?
Yeah, Anu wants to ask some question.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just have a second question.
Don't forget to introduce yourself. Oh, Anu.
Yeah, it's me again. Yeah, so what if I don't have, I don't know someone in the big 4 companies for a referral, and what are my chances of applying without a referral, and what should I highlight in this case?
Get in touch with us. We can help you to, basically we have video courses to help you understand how does the networking works, and how can you work on your networking skills so that you get the network, and you raise your network, you know how to approach the people. Or we can consult you, we can do coaching sessions with you to help you basically establish your network. And for some of our participants who are part of our VIP community, this is a membership program where we supervise our clients within 2 to 4 months and help them to get from absolutely zero starter to a person with a job offer. Like, we walk together with you through all the steps. So feel free to get in touch with Anton and discuss also the programs and the opportunities to help you from there. And that's not only for Anu, but also for everyone watching this video or recording. And by the way, the call is absolutely free of charge for you. So you, in this 30 to 45 minutes, we can provide you with a better feedback and specific recommendations on the next steps in your specific case.
That's amazing.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Cool. And yeah, you are probably one of the first Mongolian go in our webinars. I'm just very fascinated about the whole geography and the coverage of people that we are able to gather in our webinars. Okay, Anna, I see your hand. Maybe you could briefly introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm from Paris. I have a small question. To work with the big fours or the big companies, doesn't it depend on your university, for example? Doesn't it lower your chance if you are not from a big university?
Yes, Anna, you are right. Basically, the rich people from inside of this world and other famous business schools have it easier to get into consulting. But you are actually sitting and talking with someone who has graduated from University of Passau in Germany and Kiev National Economic University in Ukraine. Have you ever heard about these universities?
No.
And you see, I still made it into consulting. So that's why, and I even outcompeted, even though German was not my mother tongue, I have outcompeted so many German people in their language, basically, when I was applying to the leading consulting firms in Munich office, and I still made it. Yeah, I mean, through networking, through hard work, and through dedication, you can basically make all your chances. So it doesn't matter what education you have. Actually, your background is really not that relevant. You simply you need to be good, and you need to be hardworking and dedicated. Are you good?
Yes, I think.
Are you dedicated?
Yes, also. But I just, for example, I don't have a lot of experience. I don't have a lot of experience. I just did an internship as a data scientist. And right now I'm searching for a first job, and I can see that it's not very easy. It's hard, and maybe you have some advices. For example, do I have to take some more courses, or I don't know, some certifications?
Do another internship. It's better than any courses. I mean, go and do an internship, I don't know, at one of the big fours, or at one of the banks, or at one of the branded companies, so to say. It doesn't necessarily need to be in consulting. It could be, I don't know, automotive, Peugeot, Renault, Citroën, or banks, or big fours like Deloitte, KPMG, Ernst & Young, PwC, whatsoever. Maybe you will be even lucky to get an internship in one of the consulting firms, because I mean, when I was 20 in your position, I also had it, like I came to Germany with literally no internship experience, with no experience at all. I was one of the exchange students from Ukraine. So everyone needs to start from scratch. So don't be worried and go ahead with that. The journey will be definitely rough, but very interesting and extremely rewarding. Just to complete my story is, last year, we helped a girl who was a former opera singer to get an offer at BCG in London. And London is one of the worldwide most competitive offices. So if even an opera singer who has nothing to do with economy or business can make it, you can make it as well.
Right. Thank you.
So I truly believe in female consultants in in the coming years. So go ahead. And if you have any questions or if you need any help, just yeah, get in touch with us. By the way, guys, you can also follow us, my company, and myself also on social media. So feel free to subscribe to the links which Anton will be now sharing into the chat. Yeah, and I also see that the story was very inspiring for Serena as well. So yeah, do you have any further questions? Maybe one from Serena or anyone else before we leave?
Do you have some question from Agyat? Perhaps you can raise your hand and ask a question.
And just guys, also briefly introduce
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Agyat, I can see.
My name is Agyat,
What's your background?
I'm originally from Syria, and currently I'm finishing my master's at Aalto University in Finland. And I would like to know if, like within the major consultancies in Europe, is it a requirement, or do you see it as a requirement to have an EU passport for non-EU citizens originally and to speak the local language, or is English in some cases enough?
It depends on the country and on the geography. I can tell you definitely that it's not a major requirement in the Scandinavian countries. And in Netherlands, I would say like in smaller European nations, it's generally not a requirement, and you can work with English, and especially if you studied in Finland, and if you are searching for a job in Finland afterwards, I think you can get it. Or if you study in Netherlands and search for a job in Netherlands, and you can stay there, it's no problem. I would say for bigger European nations like France, like Germany, like Spain or Italy, you would probably require the knowledge of the local language. So, I mean, I personally came with the Ukrainian passport in 2008 to Germany, started to apply to internships, and it was almost impossible at those days to get a job in English. But over the past 12 years, things have changed quite a lot, even in Germany. And there are more and more basically opportunities for foreigners like yourself to get a job, even just with English knowledge. So just go and try it. That's, I would say.
Thank you very much, Andre.
Yeah, sure. All right, cool. Anton, do we have any further questions, or shall we conclude?
No one's raising hands, no one's texting to the chat. I think we can conclude.
All right, then thank you very much for being with us and joining this very first webinar in 2023. I hope it was very useful for you. By the way, please go to our YouTube channel. I can basically now share the link under the video here, and I would be very, very honorable and very thankful to you if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you leave your comment under this video. How did you like it? What were the insights? What was the new information that you got out of it? What was very useful for you? Maybe you got some insights. So please write down this into the comments on our YouTube channel. Feel free to distribute this video also with your friends. Thank you for being with us. If you have any further questions, feel free to get in touch with Anton and book a free call with him through the calendar link. And next week, probably same day, same time, we will be having again the webinar on another very interesting topic in consulting. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for watching. Give it a hum, and see you very, very soon. Take care and have a very nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.